Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Real Music Talks. Today's guest is a singer-songwriter from Birmingham, LunaWood. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
So I wanted to start off by taking it back and talking about how you got into music.
hmm I kind of started with singing from a young age because I've got quite a musical family, so just singing like in choirs and stuff at school. And then I learnt guitar when I was like 9, I think. Started learning that. Um, Started with classical guitar, and then just kind of started playing covers and singing as well. Um, and then songwriting, I just kind of discovered that at 13 and I was like, oh, give this a go. And yeah, really enjoyed it and haven't stopped since, I guess.
How did starting off from classical side feed into what you do now?
Um, well, I guess like classical gave me the confidence to just play guitar in general. And also classical, you can kind of link it to folk, which is the main genre that I enjoy writing in, just because of like the technique and like the intricate kind of finger picking style of the guitar. Yeah.
I noticed as well you do like quite a lot of busking. Could you talk to me about your experiences with doing that and like how you found it, sort of how it helps you get a bit known and what are the advantages and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I started when I was 15, mostly just because um, I wanted to put myself out there a bit more, and it's a free platform. You can actually earn quite good money from it. Um, and it's just a great way to kind of advertise yourself for free, I guess. So yeah, I started busking in my area and yeah, just really enjoyed it. It was quite scary at first. I didn't know what I was doing. It's quite odd because people walk past and ignore you and you get a bit offended.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fine, you don't have to listen. But then you also get people that stop and listen, and that's so lovely as well because it's just voluntary, I guess. It's completely up to them to stop. Yeah.
It's quite nice in a sense because obviously, like, people have that choice. And I guess, do you think it builds your confidence as well, knowing that some people are going to say, like, not like your music and just ignore it, and then other
Yeah,
people get drawn in?
yeah, definitely. It sort of built my resilience because I think that's a big thing as well, is to have that resilience and know that not everyone's going to want to listen to you, but what matters that do want to listen to your music. Um, so yeah, definitely built up that kind of resilience in me. When people would just kind of ignore me completely, and I'd be like, oh, that's fine, you get used to it. Yeah.
So you just released an EP, is that right? Like, very recently. How did you sort of go about recording that, and what was that process like?
So firstly, I started it. I go to a music college. They've got some quite good studios there. So I started it at the music college in their studios. And then the first lockdown happened, and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Because I had like a drummer and a bassist that were going to do everything live with me, and it was all
Right, okay.
worked out. So I just spoke to one of my tutors, and I was like, what do I do? And then I just got some recording equipment because it's so easy to get recording equipment nowadays for not too bad price. And then just kind of started recording from home. It was a long process because when it's just you at home, it's like you've got to push yourself to keep going. But yeah, I just kind of started from that. Did it mostly just by video calls and emailing different people to get advice and things like that. But it was a really good process to go through.
So did you still work with the bass and the drummer on that? And did they kind of like add their parts? Like, what does that process look like?
So I got kind of their advice initially on the parts, but at the time we didn't have the kind of equipment each of us to record their parts live. So I did the drums and bass were electronically done collaboratively, and it worked quite well to be fair. But the next EP that I'm working on, I'm hoping that I can get more of a live sound on it.
And you said you're going to a music college at the moment. Like, what is it that made you choose to do that? Because I guess some people would say you don't need to go to a music college to get somewhere in music. So what was kind of the sort of factors leading into that decision?
I guess it was mainly because when I did my GCSEs, I got to the point where I was like, I just don't really want to have to do loads of written work all the time for subjects that I know I don't want to go into.
Yeah,
Um, so I was like, there's not much point in me doing A levels. So I just looked into just like music diplomas and things like that. And also meeting people because it's so lovely to be surrounded by people that all they want to do is play music and listen to music all day, which I wouldn't get that environment at a normal kind of sixth form, I guess.
absolutely. There's definitely a lot of advantages with networking and building that sort of thing out. Do you think you learn a lot from the other musicians and stuff as well? Like,
Yeah, for definite. I mean, I get like every day that I attend college, I get probably like 5 artist recommendations every day. I've just got a massive list on my phone, you know. So you learn a lot from that, and also just seeing different people's playing styles and how they perform on stage is so valuable as well and they can give you tips as well.
so what's been like your experience with gigging to date?
So I've done a couple gigs around Birmingham before the whole lockdown thing happened. So yeah, I was like kind of trying to build momentum up until March last year. But I'm hoping to get back on it this summer. That would be really nice to actually perform with my band again.
And have you found that quite difficult through the lockdown? Because obviously, like for musicians, it's probably been one of the toughest times, not being able to play and not being able to meet up and practice and stuff like that. How have you sort of dealt with it?
Um, Yeah, it is hard. I think the biggest thing that I miss is the songwriting in kind of groups because before you could just speak to anyone and be like, oh yeah, we'll meet up, and then you just need to find like somewhere to be and bring your like instruments and like just pen and paper, and you can just write a song, and that's really nice. So I've missed that a lot, but technology nowadays is crazy, so it's quite easy to sort of write a song and then file share it with someone else and then they can do their parts. But yeah, missing gigs a lot and missing songwriting with other people, I'd say.
Yeah, it's not quite the same. Like, I mean, I suppose I would describe it as a different process. Like, if you're writing with people over collaborating with on a file, for example, online, it's a completely different process to being in the same room with people and bouncing ideas off each other. So it can have a benefit and a drawback, if you know what I mean. So definitely, I can see like coming out of this, both of those things kind of coexisting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it has its advantages for people who are like living a lot further away if you want to work with an international person,
Yeah,
songwriter. It's great in that sense because then everyone kind of knows. We've been forced into knowing now how to do it by video call. So it's good to have that skill. I heard someone say the other day that it's been quite good for our generation because it means that we had the skills from before the pandemic working
mm,
in the music industry and we'll have the skills in a pandemic to work in the music industry, so we'll be set for when we get out of it. So hopefully that's true.
definitely. Yeah, it definitely will change like the way of working going forward, I think. What do you think? Do you think everything's going to go back to normal this summer with the gigs? I mean, we're all hoping for it, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that would be lovely to be fair. It'd be so nice to go to a festival or an outdoor gig or just any live music would be great. Yeah, I'm hoping that it will happen. I'm not sure if it will happen as soon as the government have said. Um, just because, it's so hard to predict stuff at the moment. But hopefully, I think by the end of summer we should be able to have some live gigs going on, definitely.
Mm. yeah, hopefully there won't be too many restrictions and it can be a bit more. I was on one of the last podcasts I did, we were talking about mosh pits and how different that's going to be. You know, like not
Yeah,
having that experience for such a long time and then everyone's suddenly thrown into a
yeah,
crowd together, you know.
yeah.
So that's going to be quite an interesting experience. So like, have you had to pick up the like new skills in terms of like writing on your own and producing on your own and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've definitely got a lot better with recording just by myself and knowing um how to record and how to use like a DAW and different recording equipment. Um yeah, and also just kind of skills with like collaborating with people online because I didn't do that much of that before because I guess I didn't have to because there were so many people in college that I could approach. But now it's quite good because I'm talking to a lot more people in different parts of the country and working, and just, yeah, it works quite well. It's kind of forced me out of my comfort zone in that sense.
And if you weren't doing music, is there any other careers and stuff you've considered? Because you know sometimes musicians have sort of like their parents say, "Oh, you shouldn't do music; you should do this," for example, right? So have you had any experiences like that, or has it purely been this is what I'm going to do and that's what I'm going after?
Well, when I was a lot younger, I think when people are very young, they have different aspirations. I went through wanting to be a farmer, which is quite funny. It's quite a change. Um, but I think that's just because I love being outside, I love nature. Yeah, a lot of like I used to love like art and clothes design. And then I also write, and that's quite similar to being a songwriter, but just writing in general, I really enjoy.
Does that feed into like how you write lyrics and stuff? Like, would you say your songs are approached from like telling a story perspective?
Yeah, I think especially with folk as well, it's all about kind of
Hmm.
storytelling. So yeah, most of my songs are normally kind of either magnifying an emotion or telling a story.
So how do you get like the inspiration for those two ideas? So like, if you're talking about your emotions, do you sort of like feel something then straight away go to paper and write it out? Or like, how does that kind of process look like?
Um, it depends. Yeah, if normally like if I'm kind of feeling, a strong way towards an emotion kind of thing, then I normally just pick up my guitar and play anyway.
Hmm.
Just because it's fun and it relaxes you, I guess. And then normally like I can just if I come up with a nice idea on guitar, I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of works. Let's just write some lyrics and give that a go. Yeah, that's how I normally approach it.
And do you draw inspiration from like nature? Because obviously I can see you got like a clear love for nature. Do you think that feeds into how you like write music?
Definitely, yeah. It's most of my songs are at least a couple lyrics referencing nature or something related, just because, well, I mean, it's nature, isn't it? There's so much going on, I guess. Um, yeah, I do love nature, especially. It's just such good inspiration as well to kind of use it as personification of feelings as well, is a writing technique I enjoy.
Let's talk a little bit about social media. So I'd imagine you manage all of your social media.
Yeah.
And do you find that difficult at times with different platforms? I mean, there's a lot of stigmas around social media, and you know, people talk about mental health aspects or trying to be something you're not, or haters and stuff like that. Like, how do you kind of perceive that?
Yeah, social media is a difficult one because nowadays I think it's almost essential to have it.
Mm.
If you're trying to get yourself out there, well, anyone really, I think there's not many people, many adults that don't have social media now. But yeah, it is so essential to get yourself out there. I mean, it has advantages because like no one would really listen to my music at the moment, probably because I've got no way of promoting it unless it's online. So it'd be really hard to get it out there. But there are times where I do think, oh, I just want to delete social media. Can't be bothered with it. Um, yeah, it is tempting because you can waste so much time on it. It's hard to kind of hold yourself back. You know, you can just click on Instagram anytime you like and just scroll for ages.
And do you have like many comments on your music and stuff like that on there? Like, how has that sort of been so far with reception?
Yeah, I get some comments on my music, which is quite nice, and sometimes I get like DMs to work with people, or I contact people to work with them. So it is quite nice in that sense. And even like I've met people on the train before and told them my social media, and they told me theirs, and we just kind of added each other, and and they commented on my music and stuff. So that was nice. And as well as when I used to busk as well, I'd get people follow me because I used to advertise my Instagram handle. And I'll be like, oh, I recognize that face. That's because I saw them this morning when I was busking. So yeah, it's quite nice.
It's really interesting to hear about you doing it like that. I know like Ed Sheeran did a lot of busking and stuff like that, you know, and created a whole obviously massive career. I mean, I remember watching the massive show of him just playing acoustic, and it was like Glastonbury, and it's like ridiculous amount of people. But just going back to like where he started and that, it's really quite interesting.
Yeah, he's very talented.
Do you think that's like an essential part of the music industry then now, like that networking side? Because some musicians I find like they just potentially don't have that skill or they're not particularly comfortable with doing that. But would you say that's kind of a really important part of getting somewhere in the music industry?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is hard to network. You know, like before when there were gigs going on, it is hard because you just got to kind of approach people you don't know and just try and introduce yourself. And
Mm.
yeah, it is a hard part, but it is so essential because the more people you know in the music industry, the better chance you've got, I guess, of getting somewhere. And you just get more advice from people and more music recommendations, more collaborations. So yeah, I'd say it's really crucial.
What advice would you give to someone starting out as in music now? So, like, say if they're just picking up a guitar for the first time, like, how should they approach it?
I'd say just don't be afraid. I spent like so many years just being afraid of like trying different things. Um, yeah, just don't be afraid to put yourself out there, to give stuff a go. You know, everyone goes through that like that bad stage where, you know, not many people want to listen to them and they're not fully developed as an artist yet, but everyone has that, and then that will help you get to where you want to be, I guess. So yeah, just don't be afraid and talk to people.
That's good advice. Where can people connect with you on social media?
So I've got Instagram and Facebook, so it's just at LunaWood Music. Yeah, just post covers on there and random pictures of my dog and stuff.
Can't beat a good dog photo.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're nearly out of time. But the final question is, what's the plans for the future from now?
So I'm working on my second EP, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm hoping to release that springtime. Um, yeah, and just writing as much as I can. Um, Trying to network, I guess. Yeah.
See where it goes. Okay, that's brilliant. All right, thanks very much for your time, Luna. Appreciate it.